Coming up on Carolina Week, ISIS has claimed responsibility for the deadly bombings in Belgium that killed dozens and injured hundreds.
Margaret Spellings visits campus for the first time since her installment as UNC system president. We'll show you student reactions.
Our boys in blue are dancing all the way to Philadelphia to take on the Indiana Hoosiers Friday. We'll have a preview of the first tournament matchup between the teams in 32 years. All that and more, Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Much of the world is in mourning because of yet another act of terror in Europe. Good evening, I'm Ben Smart.
And I'm Sharon Nunn. We start with an update about the tragedy in Belgium. Belgian authorities have identified two brothers as the suicide bombers in Tuesday's airport and metro bombings in Brussels that left at least 31 people dead and 270 injured. The authorities have yet to identify the third suspect wearing the light-colored jacket we've tossed up in this image here for you. The UNC Study Abroad office declined to comment about the incident and whether UNC students were affected, but UNC tweeted out this message yesterday saying officials believe no faculty, staff, or students were in Brussels at the time of the bombings. UNC golfer and Belgium native Leslie Klutz was in Louisiana for a tournament when she first heard of the attack. She says she often travels through the Brussels airports and rides the metro station, both now unrecognizable.
It didn't seem that severe until you actually read what's going on, and then you see pictures of the airport demolished, and it's where I walk in every time I come to America.
The UNC Study Abroad office has been in contact with students to confirm their locations. There are no Carolina Study Abroad programs in Brussels, but students study in Europe often travel there.
UNC System President Margaret Spellings has wrapped up her first official visit to the Chapel Hill campus. And as reporter Kaylee Veed shows us, protesters are still very much opposed to her being in that post.
Throughout the day Tuesday, Margaret Spellings met with UNC students and faculty to hear more about what Carolina is doing to meet local and global challenges. And while some students were excited to even catch a glimpse of Spellings,
hey! Hello! Margaret Spellings has got to go!
Others would like to see her gone from the campus and presidency altogether. Protesters gathered outside Girard Hall during Spellings' closed-door meeting with UNC student leaders and demanded her resignation. And as Spellings moved to the UNC Venture Lab to meet with student and faculty entrepreneurs, so did the protesters, who greeted her with chants and a cookie cake that read, "Go home, Margaret."
This is going to be our public higher education system after Margaret Spellings is done with it.
Spellings says she's looking forward to working with the people and continuing to hear everyone's different point of view. For protesters who say NC deserves better, Spellings remaining as system president might just be the way the cookie crumbles. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kaylee Veed reporting.
Spellings will continue her tour of UNC system universities with a visit to NC Central.
Attracting new teachers and keeping the ones we have is becoming a challenge in many parts of our state. The Chapel Hill Carrboro City School Board is proposing a 4% pay increase for the teachers in Orange County. If commissioners reject the proposal, school officials will use money from cuts they make in other parts of the system.
Last year, Republican lawmakers budgeted $282 million for teacher pay raises. That's the largest appropriation in state history, but it still might not be enough to bring new teachers to North Carolina. CB Cotton joins us live from the UNC School of Education. CB?
I'm here at Peabody Hall, the UNC School of Education, where numbers are down. But it's not just here. In 2011, the North Carolina General Assembly cut the Teaching Fellows program. And now that fewer students are pursuing degrees in education, some people think that cut was a huge mistake. I went to one local classroom where I found out that the math just isn't adding up.
All right, boys and girls.
For these kids, it's just another day at school.
Excellent job.
But not for their teacher, Kelsey Ferguson.
I love those light bulb moments when kids didn't think they could get it and it seemed impossible, and then all of a sudden it clicks and they know what they're doing.
Kind of like it did for Kelsey.
And I remember getting the big envelope and opening it up, 18 years old. My parents come in and they're like, what is it? What is it? I was like, I'm going to be a teacher.
And that was the right decision?
Yes.
That fellows program offered free tuition to Kelsey and other students to earn teaching degrees at public universities in North Carolina.
What was that?
In 2011, the General Assembly ended that program.
If your calling in life is to be a teacher, you shouldn't have to choose in between going into debt to do something you love or doing something different. The cold, hard facts.
And those facts are that last year, early teacher salary was raised from $33,000 to $35,000, but there's still a 30% drop in enrollment at UNC's schools of education.
Frankly, I'm surprised it's not more.
Keith Poston is the executive director of the North Carolina Public School Forum.
Sister is a teacher.
For him, it's personal.
But unless we make the profession more attractive, meaning better salary, career advancement opportunities, more respect, I think it's going to be, we're going to continue to see a decline.
She's the best teacher ever, and she takes care of us. She makes learning fun.
I love them. I love the way that they love me. It is a really special relationship that you have with them.
Told me he believes there are many potential reasons for the teaching shortage in North Carolina, but there's one thing he's sure of. The shortage needs a solution, and it needs one fast. Ben, back to you.
That was CB Cotton live from Peabody Hall. Thank you, CB.
Half of the world's population is at risk for malaria.
We'll tell you about a special plant that could help treat this dangerous disease. Stay with us.
Well, it's just about that time, award season. Several graduate schools at UNC are highly ranked by the U.S. News World Report. 9 of Carolina's graduate programs are in the top 40 of their respective fields, with 3 of them in the nation's top 5. Clinical psychology tied for second overall, while the School of Medicine placed second in primary care. The Eshelman School of Pharmacy came in first, earning the title of the best in the nation.
Malaria sickens 500,000 people worldwide each year, but a leafy plant native to China might hold the key to fighting the disease. Health reporter Mirtha Donastorg explains.
The leaves of this plant, known as sweet wormwood, contain a chemical that fights malaria. Researcher Dayu Xie got the parasitic disease when he was 12 years old in rural China.
At that time, there was no medicine can treat me.
Xie's treatment came from an extract of wormwood known as artemisinin. First identified in China in the 1970s, the extract has reached labs throughout the world. Duke professor Randall Kramer studies malaria control in Africa.
It's the most important source of medication for treating malaria cases in the world right now.
The drug reacts with a protein in the malarial parasite and kills it. UNC professor Stephen Meshnick says traditional Chinese healers used the medicine for years. The Western world barely knew about it.
In the early 1980s, it was almost impossible to get artemisinin out of China because the relations between China and the outside world were not very good. But I happened to have a Japanese friend, and he smuggled out a little vial of drug for me.
Now, doctors everywhere use the medicine to treat malaria. When NC State researcher Xie got malaria as a boy,
I still remember there a couple of weeks I recovered from the diseases.
Now, recovery after treatment with artemisinin takes just 3 days. In Raleigh, I'm Mirtha Donastorg reporting.
The World Health Organization reports about 1,500 cases of the disease occur each year in the U.S. The majority of those are people who contract the disease while they're abroad.
According to the CDC, every year more than 60,000 children nationwide are victims of sexual abuse. Most of the time it's by family members or people they know. Jacqueline Lee joins us to tell us about one man's heartbreaking journey.
Sharon, this report contains some graphic language, and it's not appropriate for all viewers. I sat down with a local man who was sexually abused as a child. It took him 3 decades to tell his story.
I don't like looking at him.
It's painful for Omar Bell to dig up childhood memories.
When I was about 5, I began being sexually abused by an older cousin.
His cousin lived in the same city and was only a few years older. Their families would have them play together, unaware of what actually took place.
I definitely remember it initially beginning by him sort of showing me and having me watch him masturbate, and then it progressed sort of from there.
Bell was raped repeatedly over a 5-year period, and his cousin threatened that if he told,
he would claim that I was the instigator, that I was doing something to him.
But how could a child only a few years older be doing this?
And they may be recreating something that happened to them, and so they're acting it out, trying to understand it.
But Bell says the abuse caused a lot of confusion.
Something terrible has happened, but at the same time you think, well, but if I got an erection, if I had an orgasm, then doesn't that mean that I liked it?
He told me he lost whole sections of his childhood.
I'd love to remember some of the things that I see pictures of, and I just can't. And that is the worst part of it.
Burson says this is common for victims of trauma.
Our brain really tries to protect us from pleasant things.
Sexual assault is a reality for 1 in 4 men. Bell hasn't spoken to his cousin in over 20 years, and he didn't tell his family about the abuse until he was 35.
Over and over again, I think to myself, God, what if I had just said, I don't want to go over there. I don't want him to come over here. And what if my mom or my dad had said, why not?
Bell said healing is a continuous process, but with the help of loved ones and his work with the organization Male Survivor, he's able to help others heal as well. If you're the victim of sexual assault or know someone who needs help, please contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline. There's a link on our website, carolinaweek.org.
Thanks, Jacqueline, so much. I know that must have been difficult for you to cover.
Well, spring break is over, and after a short cold spell, it looks like we're back in the sunshine.
David Dixon has the sunny April forecast for you coming up next.
Let's talk about this beautiful weather we've been seeing for today. Just to kick off your day, high of 76. Very warm, very comfortable, very dry actually. Nothing in terms of the humidity we usually see in North Carolina. So if you haven't broken out those shorts, you might as well go out today because it's going to be a beautiful one even into this week. Winds gusty from the southwest, 15 to 20 miles per hour. All of this is due to a Bermuda high off the coast of North Carolina, bringing us that southwesterly flow, and it's going to bring us also some sinking air. And with that sinking air, we're going to see a lot of drying. And so to see that, we look at a different meteorological variable. This is called precipitable water. Think of it just the amount of moisture in the air at one time. Think of it like a dew point. And so that bullseye of brown centered over right of North Carolina, that's very dry conditions. And right behind it, very moist conditions. So we'll see very dry conditions at least for the next day or two. And behind this, very humid air. So just think about that for the next couple days. But for tonight, we should stay very clear. Temperatures very mild, around 50 degrees, with those winds dying down to around 10 degrees. Nothing in terms of a lot of cooling, even though we have clear skies. So by tomorrow on our surface map, that high pressure is pushed off the screen, and the new player is this low pressure system. And it's not going to impact us directly, but instead it has a trailing cold front, which behind it has a lot of colder air that will just dip down our temperatures for this weekend. Also a rain chance with this cold frontal passage should be seen late Thursday night and into Friday morning, but it shouldn't bring us in terms of any types of precipitation during the day, maybe just a storm or two at night, so you might notice that. So for tomorrow, even warmer conditions, temperatures reaching 80 degrees, partly cloudy, warmer, but like I said, a few clouds as that cold front approaches. We're going to look back at the precipitable water to actually see where that cold front comes from. You can see just blues and those greens showing how much moisture is in the air. So if this isn't humid, it's actually raining. And behind it, much drier air. You remember that brown from before. So once we get this cold front moving through late into Thursday and Friday night, sorry about that, we'll see much drier conditions even into this week. 68 degrees for temperature around Saturday. For your Easter forecast, 73 degrees, partly cloudy skies, chance of showers, but nothing in terms of not seasonable spring-like conditions. It's going to remain fairly warm around 70 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and temperatures dropping at night to around 50 degrees for the rest of the week. So it's springtime. It's what we expect with
so exciting.
Yes, exactly.
Warm again.
Exactly.
Well, there's been so much pollen last week, for example, with spring break. I wiped off my car and there was about an inch of pollen in my hand. For all of us
Yeah,
with
it's
allergies,
terrible. It's
when
been
can we
everywhere.
expect all this to go away?
Not anytime soon. Unfortunately, it's only the start of spring so far, and it's a lot more to come, especially with these warmer conditions.
Darn. Well, thanks, David.
Of course.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Rivers Upchurch with sports. I hope you folks are ready, because this is it. Sweet 16 time for Carolina against the Indiana Hoosiers. 2 colossal college basketball programs, 5 official NCAA championships each, and this is just the 3rd time that they've faced off in the tournament. The most recent meeting, 1981 for all the marbles. Bobby Knight and Dean Smith, Isaiah Thomas, James Worthy, Al Wood. A legend, wait for it, dairy matchup. Thomas was the tournament's most outstanding player. He had 23 points in the game, and the Hoosiers won 63-50. Now let's take a look at this year's 5-seed Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana won the Big Ten in the regular season. Senior guard Yogi Ferrell is the heart and soul of this team. The dude can ball. He's averaging 19 points a game in the tourney. Plus, he gets others involved with 7 assists per contest. As a whole, the Hoosiers shoot 41% from 3. What? That's 5th in the country. But Carolina has held Florida Gulf Coast and Providence to only 8 for 34 shooting on the long ball so far in the tourney. This year's UNC team has striking similarities with a Tar Heel team that won it all. Carolina has the best big man in the country in Bryce Johnson, an athletic freak coming off the bench in Isaiah Hicks, and a very reliable backcourt leader in Marcus Page. And who does that remind me of? The 2005 national champions, Sean May, Marvin Williams, and Raymond Felton. Tar Heel fans will remember them for helping Roy win his first ever national championship 11 years ago this April, but what's almost scary is the number of similarities between 2016 Bryce Johnson and 2005 Sean May. Now get this, both Bryce and Sean May averaged 17 points per game, 10 rebounds per game. They were both second-team AP All-Americans, and at the end of the year, Sean May was the Final Four's most outstanding player. Maybe that lies ahead in Bryce Johnson's future, but coincidence? I think not. The number 3 Carolina baseball team shellacked the Western Carolina Catamounts on Tuesday en route to the Heel's 6th straight victory. Here, sophomore pitcher Hunter Williams induces the 6-4-3 double play to get the Diamond Heels out of a jam. And then DH Brandon Riley, who led the way for the Diamond Heels with 3 hits, laces a line drive down the right field line. Oh, and the right fielder misplays it. You forgot the ball, man. Cody Roberts comes around to score. Riley ends up at third, and Carolina cruises 10-2. Carolina is now 18-2 on the year. Even though it's baseball season, football fans, fear not. Your favorite Tar Heels are gearing up for the next level. With more than 30 scouts in attendance, UNC held its annual Pro Day on Tuesday. UNC's top pro prospect, guard Landon Turner, competed in blocking drills after already performing at the NFL Combine. Marquise Williams showed scouts he's more than capable of being a pro-style quarterback, and running back Romar Morris ran a 4.35 40, which was the fastest time of the day. The longest broad jump went to Shaq Rashad. After moving to linebacker this past season, the Florida native impressed in position-specific drills. Coach Larry Fedora was at Navy Field to support his former players with former head coach John Bunting. The NFL draft will run from April 28th to the 30th. It's been a busy few months for former UNC lineman Landon Turner. Since November, Turner has competed in the Russell Athletic Bowl, graduated college, and gotten engaged. But Corey Smith shows us Turner had little time to celebrate as he's trying to become a professional football player.
Former All-American Landon Turner is headed to the NFL draft. Turner spent the last few months in California, working with elite trainers in order to impress professional scouts.
A speed coach and a strength coach, so it's just more specialized.
Turner was told he needs to intensify his agility as well as strength more than ever before in order to compete at the highest level.
My biggest thing is just constantly improving my body composition, getting lighter, getting stronger.
Turner's been training with his former roommate James Hurst, a lineman for the Baltimore Ravens. Despite all of his accomplishments, Turner still remains a humble man dedicated to his family.
It's just top down. I can't take any of that credit for myself. If I did, for me, what kind of man would I be? That's how I feel because I didn't do it by myself.
Turner comes from a football family, getting inspiration to play the sport
from relatives such as his uncle, Jim, his cousin, Phil, and his father, West, who all played collegiate football at West Virginia. But Turner has another source of inspiration outside of the sport.
Oh my God, so heavy.
Turner's fiance, Melanie Alvis, is his biggest fan.
I'm very proud of him. I mean, I tell him I'm proud of him every day when he's having really hard times, like especially at the combine when we were apart.
Alvis gave me some insight on the man behind the face mask.
He's a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, but at the same time, we're both total nerds.
Turner gave me an inside look at his favorite games, comics, and Star Wars characters. Though Turner himself won't admit it, his teammates speak very highly of his skill and say they look forward to his career in the NFL. From Chapel Hill, I'm Corey Smith reporting.
Turner is Carolina's highest projected draft pick and should go in the 3rd or 4th round.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
I was always happy to see our Carolina's guys doing great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was such a great story. It makes me so proud to be a Tar Heel.
Landon Turner is a great guy, great student athlete.
Well, what has 4 legs and a tail?
Well, UNC's furriest celebrity, we'll introduce you to him up next. Welcome back, everyone. Some UNC celebrities play basketball, while others, they play fetch.
Maddie Gardner caught up with a pup who's leaving his paw prints on campus and our hearts.
Aside from the occasional stick chewing and tail wagging, Holden Bowers is basically human. He even speaks. And when he can't get his point across, he has to ask his mom, Caroline, for a little help.
I tried to actually get in Holden's mind and think, like, what would he say? Because he has such this ginormous personality, and it's so fun to be able to share it with so many different people.
Holden, come here. Caroline keeps track of Holden's adventures through a blog and a number of social media pages.
He has 13.2 thousand followers. Yeah, what do you have to say about that? Yeah, that's so awesome.
While the Insta-famous pup does all the fetching things dogs do, he's also working on checking off his senior bucket list. He says it's doggone tiring.
Okay, you want to lay down? Every UNC student kind of has things they want to do while they're at UNC, and a lot of them are the things that I put on his bucket list. The 50-yard line kiss, the biscuit from Sunrise, got in Yopo. He got a free ice cream cone at Yopo. He's been to Sup Dogs. He got a hot dog.
But for Caroline, it's more than Instagram followers and blog posts. It's a way to cope with having to say goodbye to a place she and Holden love.
Like being able to write that through his perspective, it was therapeutic. He has definitely been something that I can confide in and I can hug anytime that I want to. And he brings so much joy to me, and being able to share that with other people has been really cool.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Maddie Gardner.
Oh, it's so cute.
Adorable.
I've been wanting a dog for so long, and I just can't get one right now.
When I was watching it, reminded me of my dog at home. He's a black lab. And studies have shown that dogs and other pets can actually be used for therapy and help to treat.
Mr. Medical Reporter here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, it is. I'm not gonna harsh your mellow there.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and have a good night.